Story 1. Jackass in a BMW thinks he can park in front of the handicap ramp at our church.
I had just arrived at church. A good friend Kyle was in his custom electronic wheelchair and he was furious. You see, someone had parked a new BMW right in front of the ramp that Kyle uses to get in. Well, I went inside and got a wheelchair. I went down the steps and picked him up and carried him to the church's wheelchair. I then, with 3 other guys, we picked up and carried Kyle's chair to the top of the stairs. After I put Kyle in his chair and went to my car. I pulled up so close they could not move their car. I then went into the church and joined the service. About 45 minutes a man enters and looked around, so I got up and asked him if I could help him. He stayed, someone blocked him in. We went outside and I said how inconvenient. I then proceeded to tear this guy a new a-hole. After me chewing them out for 15 minutes, I said they would have to wait. They were furious and called 911 claiming that they were being held against their will. Well, the cop showed up and then I backed up. They were spinning a story when the cop asked why they were parked in front of the ramp. As he chewed them out, I just walked away smiling. They got multiple tickets.
Comment 1. BMW guy is an idiot and a jerk. But it was considerate of him to save you the trouble of calling the police. Comment 2. Someone once blocked some people in at work. They probably were quite dismayed to find their month-old Cadillac precariously perched atop a dumpster. Comment 3. 90% of BMW owners give the rest a bad name.
Comment 4. It's always a favorite of mine when people call the cops and they're the one who ends up getting ticketed.
Comment 5. LOL. The Lord does move in mysterious ways, least, that's what I hear. Comment 6. Park in front of the access ramp? Time to ramp up the pain level. I like what you did there.
Story 2. I have the worst neighbors, children out of control yelling. So I give them a theme song.
I moved here 2 years ago, haven't been able to sit and relax in my yard for one time. It's always children screaming hysterically at the top of their lungs. Very loud music and adults yelling. Talking to them won't help, they are really stupid and can't be reasoned with because they can't for the life of them see other perspectives. So now every time they sit in the backyard, I have circus music on repeat. They are too stupid to realize the effect it has on them. At first they laughed, but after the 8th time on repeat they start to make loud comments how it doesn't get to them. Now their visitors always leave, F these people. Edit, here is some context since someone called me out for being insufferable. 1. They talk behind my back in their backyard, like we don't live next to each other. 2. I mean screaming, not having fun. The children have personality disorders because they are hyper all the time. I know because they are loud in everything. As someone pointed out, I have no credentials to make this comment about personality disorders, etc. I do regret it and I will try to do better next time. 3. They destroyed parts of my home and threatened me with death. 4. Every major holiday is about them. We tried to have dinner around dinner time on Christmas, but the windows were shaking from the base. 5. During the week they sit in their backyard and sing loudly at 2 a.m. I guess I'm a little bitch for wanting to sleep because I have to work. 6. Children screaming at midnight because they are playing. 7. How normal people yell is how they speak. 8. They told me that they have been living here for 10 years and every person that lived here before me has complained about their behavior, but it's not them, it's the people that live here. 9. They abuse their dog. One time left the poor doggy in an empty pool when it was 30°C. The dog is always left in the backyard crying. Called the authorities multiple times, but no one is willing to do anything. 10. They mentally abuse their children, which is really depressing, especially since they are loud and I hear everything. I tried to reason with them for almost 2 years now. I waited for almost 2 years for them to behave like normal people who are considerate of their surroundings. But yeah, I am the insufferable little bitch, smiley face, as someone mentioned. Edit 2. I appreciate you all, feels good to know that I am not crazy or alone in this. Love all the song and other suggestions. I will put them all to use for maximum petty revenge. Hope you wonderful people have a nice weekend.
Comment 1. I used a 9-inch nail CD with 12 mixes of Head Like a Hole and a 1000-watt amp on my neighbors. They learned. Comment 2. Had a friend in a similar situation go nuclear and blare porn soundtrack / moaning out of his windows. He was very careful not to include any spoken dialogue, so no profanity / dirty talk, which struck me as hilarious MC in that he was indeed shielding any potential little ears from that specific kind of inappropriate content. The all-day / night loud parties in his shared courtyard suddenly decreased in frequency. Couldn't possibly say why. Comment 3. I have a problem with a restaurant next door who lets their kids use the terrace as a soccer field. They use the metal gate to score goals. I have found some great experimental music that uses garbage can's lid for percussions and waiting for the terrace to fill with customers to introduce them to this genre of music. Planning on all windows wide open and music blaring. Think you can make my life hell by letting your kids ruin my peace? I will hit you where it hurts. In the wallet.
Comment 4. The lady below me is pregnant every other year, and every one of them in the last 10 years has reached a phase where they stand in the courtyard and yell, "Mama! Mama! Mama!" for 15 minutes straight. She's pregnant again.
Comment 5. Y'all, music is not the answer. It's talk radio. Nothing kills a house party vibe like the soothing NPR coverage of horrific events. Educate, don't alienate.
Comment 6. I'm sorry you're experiencing this. Your home should be a place of respite and relaxation. Do whatever you need to do to remedy this situation.
Story 3. I smudge up their window because they wouldn't move out of my way.
My 30F husband, 31M, and I like to spend our mornings together since we're on opposite schedules. Usually, this means he'll make coffee and I'll make breakfast, then we check in about our days and the goals we want to achieve, before going about our days separately. Sometimes when we're feeling active or have run out of coffee, we'll walk the half a mile to the local convenience store and grab a cheap coffee and a snack before walking back home. On this day, I was admittedly feeling pretty rough as I did not sleep at all the night before. My husband was in a similar state, but was encouraging me to try to start the day on a happy note, being cheesy and lovey-dovey in the store. We grabbed our coffee, and as we were paying, the cashier noticed my husband's shirt and wanted to talk to him about it, a niche low-key video game reference. I decided I'd go wait for him outside since it was nice and warm and the sun was only just starting to rise. However, 2 employees were blocking the only entrance, a glass door, and seemingly didn't notice me. I did that awkward thing where I moved both my arms like I was trying to swim around them and cleared my throat. I even tried to say excuse me a couple of times, very clearly trying to get outside, but they didn't budge. They were deep in conversation about this very attractive woman who had just left. They made a joke about how they just cleaned the door to check her out as she walked away. I stood there completely dumbfounded and waved sheepishly at them. At this point, one of the guys shifted to turn his back at me but still didn't move. He just lowered his voice, said something I couldn't hear, and then both laughed. It was almost like they wanted me trapped there, so I started tapping my foot and asked if they'd kindly get out of my way. They did not. I glanced back at my husband smiling and laughing with the cashier and gave him the look. He wrapped up his conversation, met my side, and both men non-verbally got out of our way immediately. I pushed open the door, placing my palm on the glass instead of the handle, and smudged the whole thing up. One of the men had the audacity to call me out for it, saying he'd just cleaned it, but I ignored him. When we were a good bit away, my husband asked me what that was about. I'm not usually so passive-aggressive. I explained the situation and he laughed. We have this joke about how he noticed when we walk together, men will automatically move out of the way for him but won't move for me, they expect me to move for them, so he playfully gave me the full sidewalk. I love my husband.
Comment 1. I would have my elbows out and walked right through them, saying "excuse me" as I bounced them to the side.
Comment 2. You are so fortunate to have such an aware husband, that he firstly was looking at you constantly to even receive the look and that he knew what it meant. I wish you both many cheap coffees and smudgy windows.
Comment 3. Male refusal to yield is a real thing. Start holding your course on a sidewalk, and you'll quickly realize how ingrained it is that women are expected to move aside for men. Then stop doing it.
Comment 4. I used to get this shit as a pedestrian/cyclist/runner. It stopped when I decided move or crash is my new policy. I call out. I look them in the eye, if they're facing me. Then I use my diaphragm and boom in my big opera singer voice. Move or crash. Simple. To the point. And I damn well know they heard me. And I fucking follow through. Let them give me dirty looks. They're the asshole for using the whole path. And if I'm walking, yes, elbows out all the way.
Comment 5. Good for you. Go there again and put something a little more difficult to remove on the glass. Comment 6. We call that misogyny chicken. When I had to walk with a cane, I couldn't dodge and sidestep like I used to, without realizing I had been doing so. It was truly amazing how many men, alone or in groups, would be so surprised that someone had not moved out of their way.